Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and our simple abundance year. How are you doing? May 2020. We are following along with Sarah Von Bronick's book, Simple Abundance, going through her 2019 edition, and sometimes I do pull from her past edition of Simple Abundance, the Daybook of Comfort and Joy. I have been doing a bit of cross-referencing here at the beginning of May because it's interesting the way she's moved around a lot of the content, like changing the dates. And I think I mentioned in another video, I can tell that she really likes this topic of home. So it seems like in the new book that she really beefed up a lot of the entries. Some really good points, and we have a kitty with us. Some really good points in yesterday and today's entries. Yesterday's was called Being Home. You like being home? Yeah. I'm doing a video. These are some things for your journal that would make for some really great self-exploration. Thinking about what does it mean to feel at home? And she also said a house of belonging. What does that mean? That's really something to sit with. Like, what are those components that help you or allow you to know that you feel that sense of belonging? Is it the people around you? Is it feeling comfortable in your own skin? Is it the way that you have your house set up or cleaned? Remember way back when we first talked about order and cleanliness, I mentioned FlyLady. And she's not the only one. There's definitely studies out there that show that when you have order in your house and you take the time to do things like having an empty sink at the end of the day, that it can go to positively affect your life in other areas, which you might not necessarily think of it. So in today's entry, Being Home, I'm not going to read much from this one because it's mostly her talking about how she really likes to read novels about people that have overcome things and maybe have been totally uprooted from their homes and then have to make a total fresh start. And if you have looked into Sarah's personal story, she did have some troubles, and so I can see why she relates to some of these things. And then having to make a home out of nothing or out of an empty new space. And I mentioned I really like doing that. I don't want to lose everything and then start over fresh, but I did tell you one time that the last time actually when I moved into the place I live now, it was a move where I just sold everything, purged clothes, everything, and I did start fresh. I had a couple things that I kept, but I made sure that everything that I brought into my home was something that I really loved and that I felt like spoke from me personally. So I think that goes a long way towards why I do feel so at home when I come home. So I'm not going to say much about this one because, like I said, it is a lot about, there's a particular story from an author that she does go into. But at the very end of yesterday's entry, she says, "Let us awake fresh each day individually in our new imagining of our house of belonging." So again, sit with that feeling. What does that house of belonging mean to you? And it's a perfect tie-in with today's entry, which ironically is called Home Alone, because I've been doing that a lot lately. But fortunately, I'm okay with that. So it hasn't been a really isolating feeling. Like, I know some other people that are not enjoying it. For me, I'm not antisocial, but I did see this meme on social media that made me laugh, and it was a picture of Clint Eastwood. I don't know if he actually said this or if it was just like he was the picture of the meme, but it said, "You never know how antisocial you are until when a pandemic hits and you don't feel like life has changed very much." So I do love my social times, and life has been different, but otherwise I'm pretty content. Annabelle and I have a nice companionship, and I've been calling her my pandemic buddy lately. Today's entry is not really about being home alone in that sense, but it's about the fact that you can actually be home and feel alone and feel totally disconnected to your surroundings. Even if you have people there, even if you have it set up in potentially a way that you think you might want to have it set up, and you can just feel totally disconnected. So that's why I think it's a nice tie-in with that, really sitting down and asking what that sense of belonging is, because that goes hand in hand. And I am going to read a bunch of this because I don't even know how to pare down. Some of this is just so good. So why, she's asking, why do you think, I'm paraphrasing here, like, why do you think when you walk into your house and you might be with people or be in your everyday surroundings and you just know that you're not living in that quote unquote house of belonging? And she says, why is that, do you think? It's because the house of belonging is not just a place, it's a presence. Your authentic presence in your own life and your own home. One of the ways we take care of ourselves is by creating a home for ourselves, no matter how basic it is in the beginning, and especially if we're single. And yet many of us hold back because for some faulty wiring, unconsciously we think we don't deserve it. And that's so common, right? Why do we have this difficulty? It's because we feel uncomfortable in our own skin. What about that? Is there a woman among us who doesn't? She asks. In fact, in many ways, we are composite echoes of each other, sharing one malady, that we don't feel comfortable in our own bodies. It's so easy to extend this sense of exile to the houses we inhabit. This sad, sorry, silent secret and heartbreaking truth is the reason we can't receive the gift of comforting, our belonging, when we cross our own threshold, even though we are able to bestow it lavishingly upon others. And why? Probably because we don't believe we deserve it. Again, same thing. Like many women, she says, I was raised to believe that the good things in life, the roaring fire, the beautifully set table, the delicious food, the good wine are meant to be shared. However, in the span of every woman's life comes a solitary season or two, or even a decade, through choice, change, or circumstances. In these times, she says, why bother preparing a fire, cooking a meal, laying the table, opening a good vintage if you're going to sip it alone? If no one's going to praise your apple pie, why bother baking it? Anybody single out there, you might have had those thoughts. But remember when I showed you guys my counter setup? I think that was back in February. No, it might have even been January when she was saying life is not a dress rehearsal. And I've got like the fine dishes out and everything. And I have 2 place settings. And if you believe in feng shui or manifesting. Maybe that's me making room energetically for someone being there, but it doesn't make me lonely by having that other one there. I think I'd be more lonely if I just had the one place setting. Okay. These are difficult truths for us to read, hear, or share. But once we do, my darling, this wounding, this psychological self-harming, this private shaming can end, and our sophisticated self-sabotage can be called out for what it is. Then slowly, moment by moment, day by day, you can begin to heal one entry at a time in your gratitude journal. For you'll be writing the most heartwarming story you'll ever hear, your own. Isn't that awesome? You should know that feeling as well. You should know that feeling, and you will, by consciously choosing to be grateful and graciously home alone, dwelling in your house of spirit. And she's talking about that house of belonging. I didn't read the first part of the sentence. So we talked about the house of spirit the other day. That was the May 5th entry. So whether you are home alone or home with other people, sometimes if you're home with somebody and it's just not a good situation, you might want to be home alone, right? I will say I talked to some friends who have a significant other there, and I know it can be challenging right now where you're having way too much togetherness. But hopefully, and I will say, like in my marriage, for the most part, we had enough compatibility that we had similar tastes, although I sometimes felt like I wished that he would just let me have total control over the decorating, because it means so much to me, and when I don't have control over it, I get really irked by that. But for the most part, I was happy with, we had 2 different houses. Actually 3, because he married me when I had my first house, but that house was set up just the way I wanted it. It was like a little dollhouse, actually. But our 2 subsequent houses, he was pretty good about letting me do what I wanted. But anyway, where was I going with that? Kind of got lost in the memory of that. I guess I was just saying that if you are home with someone and they're not letting you do the things that you want to do to make your surroundings better, I feel bad for you. I wish there was a way that you could have some open communication about, hey, this is really important to me. I really want to paint this room, or I really want to move these pictures around or move the furniture around. I hope that you can have those conversations, because your house is really a big part. It's somewhere that you spend so much time in, and if you're unhappy there, there could be some points like she makes about you might just be totally uncomfortable with your own self, and it's like it's being reflected now in your house. That if you felt better about things and your life and maybe your relationship too, that the house would be secondary anyway, and it might be like, yeah, I don't really like that picture that he likes, but or she, I don't mean to be totally like thinking that we're all in heterosexual relationships, whoever your significant other is, but that picture or the room color or the setup is not as big of a deal as it feels right now, just because it's like you're unhappy with a lot of things, and then your home was just like the final straw. So just like what I said about whether it's clean or not, whether you're happy or not, that can also affect your outlook, right? One last thing I wanted to mention, because I looked at the old book that I mentioned, the Daybook of Comfort and Joy. This entry's been deleted, and I thought that it was a great entry. It was called Everyday Epiphanies. And I will tell you guys, I am like epiphany queen right now. The amount of stuff, and it must be just like, I know a lot of it is the simple abundance stuff and talking to you guys every day pretty much. And journaling and just really connecting, and also I did share with you guys I had a challenging week. Was it 2 weeks ago now? And basically I thought I had already hit rock bottom, but I hit rock bottom. And I think I had to hit rock bottom to come out to the other side. I'm doing so much better now. It's such a huge difference. Yeah, you noticed too. I'm glad I have a talkative kitty for these times when she's my main companion. But anyway, I'm having a lot of epiphanies, and just so many things I'm encountering so many things too, just from like books that are mentioned in this book, or books that I've wanted to read for a while, or links that I find, or YouTube videos that get shared with me, just from, that match up my watch pattern. And so I'm just really coming alive. Thank goodness, because I was in such a bad place. I was really struggling. And I can't say that won't happen again. I sure have my ups and downs. But right now, I'm on an up. So that's good. So these are the everyday epiphanies. And just one thing I wanted to read. Everyday epiphanies encourage us to cherish everything. Today, a new sun has risen. Everything lives. Everything can speak to your soul passionately if you will be still enough to listen. You have to count on living every single day in a way that you believe will make you feel good about your life. That's from actress Jane Seymour. She says that. And she goes on to say, so that if it were over tomorrow, you would be content. What do you think about that? Do you feel like if it were over tomorrow that you could say, I have no regrets? That's really the way that we all hope to live, right? Boy, there was a lot to think about today. Can't wait to hear what your comments are about this. Hope you're enjoying going room by room, doing some organization. Hope you're feeling like a little more order's coming into your life. If you're purging things, I hope that the simplicity is coming in. I hope you're having some joy, even if we can't necessarily do the creative excursions that we would normally be doing. Maybe those are just out in the garden right now or walking in the neighborhood. Beauty everywhere in all the things that are coming alive. Gratitude every day. You better be doing it. I have been really good about my gratitude this year. I think that's really helping. And which one did I forget? Harmony. Yeah, harmony is a really good one to tie into the home, because we haven't talked yet about feng shui, but bringing in the various elements into each room and the colors, and just for it harmonizing with your likes and what makes you feel comfortable. I think I hit all of them. Joy, harmony, beauty, order, simplicity, gratitude. Yeah. That's what we're doing on this channel. So glad you're here. Please subscribe if you haven't. Love to see the subscriptions go up a little bit. and build this community. And I love the way that you guys have so much to say about every video. It really warms my heart, and I look forward to your comments. And thanks for humoring my kitty, Annabelle, who likes to somehow do something in the background of each video. All right, love to you all. Bye.